Did you know that Muck Boots all started with a universal problem, muck? And did you know that it's their 25th anniversary this year? Neither did I. But I do know that when you buy boots that don't last, it's really frustrating to have to replace them every couple of months. So check out Muck Boots. The link is in the show notes. The very first thing that got hung in my beautiful kitchen when we moved in here 4.5 years ago was a calendars.com Lang calendar because I needed something familiar in my new house. My mom loves them. We love them. Go check them out. The link is in the show notes. You're listening to A Tiny Homestead, the podcast comprised entirely of conversations with homesteaders, cottage food producers, and crafters, and topics adjacent. I'm your host, Mary Lewis. A Tiny Homestead podcast is sponsored by Homegrown Collective, a free-to-use farm-to-table platform, emphasizing local connections with ability to sell online, buy, sell, trade in local garden groups, and help us grow a new food system. You can find them at homegrowncollective.org. If you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave a comment. Thank you. Today I'm talking with John at Langton Green Community Farm in Maryland. Is that right, John?
Yes, yes, ma'am. We're in Millersville, Maryland, outside of Annapolis.
Okay, cool. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. I am so excited to have you on the show because this community farm thing you've got going on is huge. So tell me about it.
Well, Langton Green has been primarily providing residential services for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities since the early 80s. About 15 years ago, we started also doing day services, which tends to be vocational or activities based for a small number of our consumers. But we're always looking for more to do on an ongoing basis. So after a couple of years of doing a lot of landscaping and commercial and residential cleaning contracts, our former executive director went to a conference and met some people who operated a small residential program on a farm in California and said, hey, could we do something like this? Which was exactly the kind of thing that I was already engaged in personally. Doing a lot of suburban homesteading kind of stuff, a lot of gardening and canning. So it definitely matched a lot of my personal interests. A lot of my job coaches and staff also had experience working in horticulture and landscaping. So there was a natural tie in there. So I spent the next couple of years working with our board of directors, going through some mentorships with local agricultural organizations, and looking at properties locally to actually develop an expansion of our existing day services program to be focused on an agricultural property. The spot that we found was perfect. It's right in the middle of a really very populated suburban area, and to be able to provide 13 acres of animals and sustainable produce and flowers. We've incorporated a lot of artwork on the property over the past 10 years. Has just been a really great thing. It's benefited our consumer population tremendously. And I think we're increasingly a benefit to the public as we provide a space for them to come out and have those experiences, and to kind of get a sense of where food comes from, because I think a lot of people have lost that. If you ask a group of kids where does food come from, the number one answer is going to be the grocery store. So to be able to give back, a little bit of opportunities to experience the basis of that food, industry and where it all starts in a setting that's also focused on providing therapeutic care for everybody, but most primarily for our consumer population.
That's phenomenal. I'm so impressed. Okay, so my first question is, how is the public interacting with the farm?
Initially, our biggest, we wanted to draw volunteers. So we needed the additional help with some of the work processes. Everybody that comes out here is just floored and really enjoys being on the property. So initially, we started with a lot of group activities with local churches, local community organizations. When we first got our property in Millersville, it basically was a 13-acre. Some of it was in agricultural production with one of our neighbors. Part of it had been horse pastures with a collapsed, very large barn. and two houses that hadn't been inhabited for probably decades, one of which was actually condemned. It wasn't suitable for habitation.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of big projects to tear down the barn to actually just get the property at the point where we could utilize it. So we had a lot of volunteers coming in to assist with those things. And over time, we've continued to bring in and recruit volunteers. Our kind of gold ticket volunteer is somebody that's available a couple times a week at their convenience, based on what works for them schedule wise, to actually come out and assist on a regular basis with the agricultural processes alongside our staff and our growers. So we've been really fortunate in finding and maintaining connections with a handful of people like that. But we also continue to bring in groups. We have local church and school groups that come out on a regular basis every year, a couple of times. And this last year, we did our first CSA that was open to the public. We're expanding that this year. So we'll have distributions for CSA and something we're calling kind of click and pick. It's a kind of an electronic farmers market where you can go onto our website, and each week we load up what produce we have available for the week. You can fill your basket, pay for it, and then come out on Saturday to pick it up. And we're also trying to incorporate things like yoga and some storytelling for children, and additional activities on those Saturdays so that people can actually spend a little bit more time, get around, walk around, see the animals, pet a chicken, look at we're doing goat yoga. One of our staff is a yoga instructor. So we're just trying to find opportunities to bring people out more and more often. A lot of times during the summer, we also have pick your own opportunities for blackberries and strawberries. We've just invested a lot of time in our orchard, so we're hoping to have more fruit and blueberries available, as well as some cut flowers to augment kind of our vegetable and produce sales.
This sounds like my idea of heaven. You're doing a beautiful thing there. So you said chickens and goats. Do you have other animals too?
We have some a small herd of pot-bellied pigs. Someone had a female pot-bellied pig that needed a home, and we agreed to take her. And of course, she was pregnant,
Hmm.
so we got to go through all of those processes. A couple of the babies were adopted out, but we still have six pot-bellied pigs. We have four goats currently. Um, I think our laying flock right now is about 36 birds. We're about to add about 18 more. And Atticus, the farm cat, who kind of keeps us all on our toes and is pretty much the boss around here.
Is Atticus friendly?
Atticus is extremely friendly. There's almost no tour or group that shows up that he doesn't at some point join us and walk the property with us and have give his input. He is definitely our mascot.
So Atticus the ambassador for the farm.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Okay. We have a black neutered male cat here. That's our barn cat. He's like 5 or 6 years old now. And he's terribly friendly with us, but he doesn't like strangers. The minute somebody comes on the property, he takes off into the barn and hides. So he
There's
is not like Atticus in that
there's a
way.
wisdom in that, but yeah, Atticus is also a neutered black male, but
Hmm.
he's a love bug.
Yep. It's crazy how they either are really friendly or they are really not friendly. When we got him from the Humane Society, they thought he was about 2. And when we went to pick him up, he was billed as part of their barn cat program where you pay like I think it's like 25 or $50 for a barn cat, as it were.
Right.
And we went to pick him up and they said you will never be able to pet him or hold him. He is feral, he is mean, he is nasty. And we ended up naming him Satan, thinking that we would never be able to touch him. He is the friendliest cat with us. I mean, my son picks him up all the time, and this cat just sits there and purrs and drools on his shoulder. It's just nuts.
We have a couple of feral cats at home that are also extraordinarily affectionate, and you wouldn't think, but yeah, it's you never can tell.
Yeah, somebody I posted a video of Satan on our YouTube channel, and my son is holding him and he's growling his head off, but he's not actually mad. He's just like, I don't really want you to hold me, but keep holding me. And I got so many comments about why would you name a cat Satan? That's terrible. And I'm like, cause he's the devil. He was billed as the devil himself. So anyway, um, all right. So how long have you guys been doing the farm part? Did you tell me to begin with? I
Yeah,
forget.
well, we July of last year was our 10-year anniversary, so
Okay.
we're in our 11th season now.
Okay, cool. And tell me the reaction of, let's start with little kids who come out to visit.
It's amazing, and again, I think there's just a disconnect between these kind of processes in most people's lives, especially people that live in a primarily urban area. We do have a lot of families who commute, out to Western Maryland or Southern Maryland to go apple picking or to do farm kind of tours, and people are absolutely thrilled to have this right in their backyard. I mean, we're literally, it feels like we're a couple hundred miles away, right in the middle of this kind of urban metroplex. So it's been a real blessing, and when people come out, they're just amazed. Um, to the property itself is kind of in a strange zigzag pattern. So as you walk through the property, every time you turn a corner, there's something new that jumps out at you. The animals tend to be right at the beginning of the property where most of our houses and activity is situated. But the kids just are. It's wild to watch just the looks of amazement as they are able to not only see but interact with the majority of the animals. Um, and to pet the goats, we had a young lady came out and did a storytelling last summer and read three billy goats gruff with our billy goats wandering around nibbling on people's clothing and sitting in and listening and being petted while we were doing the story. And it was just amazing to watch the kids did not only have the relationship with the story, but while they're doing it, to have these animals accessible to them. So it's just again something that I think a lot of kids in this area don't necessarily get an opportunity to experience. And if they do, it's once or twice at a field trip in school, not on an ongoing basis where we're here every day and we encourage people to come out and to have those experiences.
That's awesome. Um, okay, so do you guys offer classes as well, or is that not on the agenda?
We're not at the moment. We've transitioned a couple of times since COVID for different farm managers. We do have a virtual learning platform where we're doing we developed a lot of virtual content during COVID to remain connected with the community and with our service population. So we still have that platform. We really want to get back to it because we have developed some cooking classes. We need to polish some of that a little bit more, but we definitely would like to be able to do those things in an online format where people can continually access it after the fact. So we're leaning into the virtual world. We had a poetry reading here last year that was virtual with Maryland's poet laureate, a couple of poets from Europe and the DC area. So it was kind of a strange sideline, but we're kind of about strange sidelines. So that's actually still up on YouTube. And I think the video and the sound quality wasn't phenomenal, but it was really an incredible thing to be involved in.
Yeah, this technology thing we've got going on in 2025 is pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's opened a lot of doors that we wouldn't have even considered.
Yep, and honestly, I think it's great that you have the poetry readings on YouTube, or yeah, you said YouTube. Um, that's great, but I would recommend that if people want to be exposed to the events you have, go to them. You know, if you
Yeah,
can't make it to it, then yeah, catch it if you guys upload it. But
sure.
there's something really amazing about being at an event in person
Yes,
in real time.
yes. Yeah, we did our last farm manager did a couple of kind of instructional talks on starting a home garden and kind of those processes that were open to the public, and we also recorded to stream later. So probably a combination would be something that we lean toward a lot.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of people like coming and spending time at the farm and asking questions about how could I start a little garden in my home?
Not a tremendous amount because the area we're in is a little bit more rural for this space.
Mhm.
But we do, about a year ago, opened our community garden plots on the front of our property. So we have offered 20 by 20 plots with some raised beds in that space. And we probably are about half full at this point. So, excuse me, a lot of people that are interested in gardening, and that has become a whole separate community. We opened it up with the expectation that rather than charging people for access, that we would ask for some service hours monthly, and
Mhm.
that's worked out really well and has certainly become its own little community within our larger program. And again, something we'd certainly like to build on and kind of have our own garden club. Uh, kind of built around that. We're also doing a plant sale with a lot of vegetable seedlings and flower starts for the spring. So we're working to make increasing inroads with kind of that local gardening community because again that's the word of mouth that to kind of increase sales and just drive awareness that we're here and what we're doing.
Minnesota has a thing. A thing is a really bad descriptor, but we have master gardeners through our university,
Yes.
and basically they go and take the courses and become certified as master gardeners. Does Maryland have that too?
We do, and we have that locally. We've met with our local Master Gardeners program where we've talked about, doing potential because, of course, they do service projects and training as part of their curriculum, and we've offered that here as well. It's never quite come to pass, but we're certainly open to the Master Gardeners, Boy Scout troops, church and civic organizations. But the Master Gardeners is a phenomenal program. It's pretty active around here, and they're already awfully busy.
Yeah. Yep, the ones here are too. I was actually going to start a second podcast called Mary and the Master Gardener with a lady that I had made contact with. We did 3 episodes and she got super, super busy and it hasn't gone anywhere. And I'm very sad about this. So
Yeah,
I'm on the lookout for a new Master Gardener person to keep going
I would
on
certainly
it with me.
I would tune into that.
Yeah, I got to get on it. I've just been so focused on this one that I'm like, I can't allocate the time right now to go find somebody new, but I'm going to work on it this week because I only have like 4 episodes scheduled to record. So I'm going to work on that one, guys, too. Um, okay, what else can I ask you? How many acres is the farm?
It's just short of 13 acres.
Oh, so it's not huge.
No, no, and we're probably working on about 2.5 or 3 at the moment. Again, the bulk of the acreage had been maintained in agricultural use by one of our neighbors, who operates a vegetable stand up on the highway where we're located. And the soil was pretty played out. He was very much a conventional guy who would dump a bunch of fertilizers and hope for the best. So we started utilizing what had been horse pasture on the front of the property, and are doing really well with that in a raised bed system that we're rotating, and doing cover cropping and trying to maintain really intensively. But we're starting to lean into that rear of the property. So we've been cover cropping that over the past couple seasons. We just did a small planting of Christmas trees and are establishing some more formal garden spaces back there. It leads to about a 4 acre woodlot that we're also in the process of clearing out to do some mushroom cultivation, maybe, and to set up an outdoor classroom and kind of utilize that shady space as a break area and kind of another multi-purpose space.
Langton Green Community Farm is a fabulous resource, it sounds like.
We certainly try to be. I think most of the folks that are here are just tickled to death that we get to come in here and do this every day. If you get the right kind of person who enjoys being outdoors, no matter how miserable the conditions are, it's really a great thing. And the professional staff that have been here, they literally talk about where on the property they want to be buried. So it's it's a pretty good work environment. I still count myself incredibly fortunate that when I come in here to think that, I get to do this professionally every day.
Yeah, it's like playing.
Absolutely. If you enjoy, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, that kind of a thing. And this is just that in spades.
Yep. Um, so I have been to Maryland once, and I grew up in Maine, so it was a very easy road trip with my folks to go visit friends in Maryland. Maryland is beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, what's the growing like there? I mean, you guys can't grow year round unless you have a greenhouse, yes?
That's correct. And we have a couple of hoop houses, 30 by 60-foot hoop houses. So we work on, trying to do cool weather stuff year round there and in our greenhouses and in indoor spaces. And some, we play around with things like microgreens. The idea is to always be cultivating something, even if it's on a really small, on a small scale. Our new farm manager is very into aquaculture and aquatic systems, so we're looking to incorporate more of that and hydroponics, especially in the off the traditional growing season. We've been doing cool weather crops for about a month now. We're getting ready and we're starting to do some small levels of harvesting of pak choi and kale that was overwintered and those kind of things. But we'll be harvesting summer produce into September, sometimes October, and then again, typically we'll have a pretty good fall season as well into about the end of the year.
Okay, when's your last scary frost date in the spring?
Oh, I believe it's October 15th, or at least that's I kind of have locked into my head May 15, October 15.
Okay, yep. That's what it's like here in Minnesota for us. We don't plant anything in the garden until May 15th because
Right, right.
we've done it and we don't want to lose any plants again.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sitting on at home. I'm sitting on 2.5 foot tomato plants that I'm thinking about gambling on this weekend because the weather looks like it's going to be pretty consistently good.
You better pray and keep everything crossed because the minute you think it's safe, it's not. Um, okay, so I try not to ask nosy, intrusive questions, but you keep talking about new ideas and new things because of the new farm manager. How are you funded?
We receive funding from the state and federal government to provide services for our consumers.
Okay.
So that funding pays for staffing and vehicles and keeps the lights on. All of the farm stuff that we've gotten, I've become a development person in kind of as a sideline. So we've written grants and dealt with foundations and gone out and found a lot of the funding for our gators and tractors, our hoop houses. There are a lot of existing governmental programs. The USDA paid for both of our hoop houses. We're working on at least one more of those fairly soon. So yeah, but that's been a big sideline is to go out and find opportunities to match up with foundations and grants and governmental organizations that will provide some of that income. And again, I'd really like to get to the point where we're doing enough of sales that we can maintain a little bit of self sufficiency. We're trying to ensure that we're able to donate about 2/3 of our produce every season, which leaves about a third of it available for sale. And the goal would be to allow the commercial sale end of things to support the donations, which go to local food banks, a lot of which are starting to accept perishables, as well as the, I'm sorry, 34 homes that we operate in the county at the moment that serve our residents.
Okay, is the farm nonprofit?
Yes, ma'am. Langton Green is a nonprofit organization.
Okay, that sort of kind of helps when you're looking for grants and things.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
has the crackdown on grants from the federal government that's happened since November, has that affected you guys?
Not yet, but everybody is definitely talking about it. I suspect there will be a trickle down as some organizations funding is affected. A lot of what we're leaning more into. There's a local service club that has been really good to us. We actually we won a couple years ago the Kubota Corporation's Hometown Proud competition, which provided a really nice amount of cash prize. So we're definitely diverse in what where we go for grants and financial support.
Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
We had, I think we applied for $10,000 for material for our community garden, and they contacted us and said, "Hey, this is really great. Could you give us a budget for $100,000 tomorrow?" We said, "Well, yeah, certainly we can do that."
Wow.
And then, yeah, I think we were the Southeast winner. There were five, I think, regionally, and we won for the Southeast. That was kind of out of the blue, but I mean, really, really fantastic people to deal with, and we've appreciated their support.
Absolutely. Um, you and your people should be so proud of what you have built with this community farm. I'm listening to you talk and I'm just like, my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a joy, and I mean, half of the time that we feel like we're getting the better of the deal. But again, to be able to share it with people is has been phenomenal. And during COVID, we closed for programming, and it was just the staff here, just the core group of staff here, and those were actually really good years to just have it all to ourselves. But it's been a lot of fun to open back up and to be able to get even more involved with the local community.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cough in your ear. Um, so who's, I mean, this is a weird question. Whose brainchild was this? Who came up with this idea to start with?
Well, again, our executive director kind of came in with this idea based on this organization in California that he had encountered. And it was just a really magical fit because, again, it tied into exactly what I had been doing personally and was thinking about doing on a larger scale. My wife and I were thinking, maybe we should get a couple acres and do something when he suggested this. And it just seemed like such an automatic win for our consumer population and our staff. Because again, we were bouncing, or we had a retail site that we worked out of just near our main office area, and it just wasn't enough consistently to do, and we were sort of bounced around from one place to another all the time. This gave us a home, and my assumption was that there would pretty much always be something to do. And there absolutely has been. I mean, everybody will ask, what do you do in the winter time? We've never slowed down in the winter time. By the time we come up for air at the end of the summer season, and kind of operate a little bit less intensely for a couple of months. But it seems like every year it's time to start planting again. By the time we've cleared our wood lot to prepare some other garden spaces, gotten all of our equipment and stuff and materials recovered and cleaned up for the next season, inventoried and developed a planting schedule, looked back on the previous season to determine what did well, what should we do more of, what do we need to cut. So there's definitely many, many, many opportunities. And again, the agricultural processes themselves lend themselves to our consumer population because they each task can be broken into smaller components. So somebody that might not be out working in the field 4 or 5 hours at a time can sit and seed, or can assist with harvesting and packaging our produce. So the idea of it just developing a more engaged agricultural program made sense for our specific consumer population. Being outdoors rather than sheltered workshops is kind of was at that point more of the typical environment, and a lot of people would definitely prefer to be outside and active than sitting at a table. So it just made a tremendous amount of sense in all of those ways. And again, our board of directors was hesitant about it. They saw it as something that would potentially cause some safety issues. I was told that I think farming was one of the most dangerous occupations in the whatever the I'm sorry. It was basically one of the most consistently dangerous occupations, so I had to research that. And it turns out that it is, but it's because it's lumped in with ranching and livestock and being run over by combines. We couldn't turn a combine around on our property, so
Uh,
we're doing much more hand processes. So it all made a lot of sense, and over time we were able to develop a business plan to demonstrate that it was also a viable programming option. So I've got to give our former executive director, Arnie Dordick, a lot of credit for coming up with the core of the idea. But once he kind of lit that fuse, that myself and the staff that were working at the time really ran with it, and it got everybody got excited about it really, really quickly.
Fantastic. Do you happen to know the population of the county that your farm is in?
I do not, but it's Anne Arundel County, Maryland. It's not as populous as the Baltimore, D.C. immediate suburbs, but a lot of the people, it's definitely one of the more populous regions in Maryland.
Yeah, I was wondering because you are serving a fairly large community of people because I'm assuming people come from all over Maryland.
Yeah, the majority of the folks are coming from like the Annapolis area, and again, the Anne Arundel County people that live here tend to work in either D.C. or Baltimore. So it's definitely a large there's mixed residential development of single family home communities and apartments and townhomes. So it's definitely a fairly dense population and growing.
I freaking love it, John. I'm so glad that you could come talk to me today. We are at 30 minutes and 27 seconds, and I try to keep these to half an hour. So you have no idea how much I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.
Absolutely, I really appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad we made the connection.
This was so fun. I'm going to be on a high for the next 6 hours because I love what you're doing. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, bye. If you like this podcast, you would probably love Amy Fagan's Grounded in Maine podcast. You can find her on all the platforms, groundedinmaine.com.